This is going to be the oldest locomotive that I have converted to DCC, and not only DCC, but we're doing Bluetooth, so this is going to be fun. This video is brought to you with support from trains.com. You can use the promo code JimmyDIY to get $10 off your order of $50 or more. You can check them out at the link in the description. If you watched my last video, if you haven't, it'll be linked at the end. I picked up a 1979 limited edition Concord in-scale set. Hey guys, Jimmy from the editing room here. I actually got my numbers mixed up. This is from 1975, not 1979. This is a 50-year-old in-scale engine. The Powhatan Arrow with a Class J-ish locomotive. It's still a pretty cool set. It is the oldest in-scale locomotive that I've bought since I got back into model railroading. And yeah, so we're not only going to be upgrading it to DCC, but we're doing Bluetooth in this thing. So let's get to it. This is the set we're going to be working on. This is the Powhatan Arrow from Concord. Here is the engine. Now, it's technically not a Class J because it has a Hudson chassis 464, but I'm going ahead and getting everything down to the bare bones where I'm going to need to work on it. And I actually had to remove a truck so that I could get the proper angle at getting the shell of the tender off. And then I was able to just pop the truck right back on. The truck does have pickups, which is a good thing for this because I'm going to need it. And here is the base level of the engine. Now for this build, I'm putting in the brand new Bluenami Blue 1100 decoder from Soundtrax. This is the first Bluenami decoder that is small enough to fit in an in-scale engine. So putting some Bluetooth in this thing. So I'm taking it literally back from about 46 years ago all the way into the 2020s. This should be really cool. Now the first thing we did was strip everything completely down, take the weights out of the tender, and I just want to show a couple things here that this chassis is actually conducting the electricity. You can tell because it is split in half and it has little plastic dividers right there to isolate each side. And then it's also wired directly from the tender pickups into the motor. We're not going to utilize that with this, but the first thing we need to do is get that split out just a little bit so that we can remove the motor and also cut those leads from the tender. And then we get our motor out. It is a Kato motor, which is a good thing. And then I remove all of the original wiring from the pickups. Now we can bring in our decoder, and we're going to go ahead and just double check the fit right there. It's going to be fine. But we need to solder up the red and black feeder wires, and it comes with a lot of excess on there. We're not going to need all of that, but you're going to solder up the red to the right side facing forward in the locomotive and black to the left side facing forward locomotive. So I cut some excess off. Keep that excess because we're going to use it. And then I need to go ahead and add some little solder connection points. So I just take and make little beads of solder on the little strips for feeding power, and then I wire up the black on the left side and then the red on the right side. Now I need to connect the decoder to the other side of the strips. These strips are very convenient for connecting these, by the way. And I basically just repeat the process here. I'm just connecting the feeders that are already on the decoder, but same sides, right is red and left is black. Now, one very important thing to do is to electrically isolate these connections just in case the weight could short it out. Probably won't, but I'm going to go ahead and put some Kapton tape over these. Kapton tape is great. It's an extremely thin insulating electrical tape, and it will go ahead and put that over there, and that will keep these isolated from the weight and prevent any wayward shorts. Now we can reattach the weight because we've done all of that work there. And then we're going to attach the decoder, and we're going to do this using some command strips, but this is the kind that's the kind of Velcro-y type. I don't know exactly what to call it, but when you put them together, they can be pulled apart, but they hold pretty well. So I'm going to put that there, and then I need to pull the other strip off, and then I can just stick the decoder on there, and it's going to hold just fine.
Now we need to work on the wires that are going to go to the motors. At bare minimum, we want this thing to run. So it is orange and gray on the NMRA standards for going to the motors. Now I'm going to go ahead and start connecting everything up to the locomotive, and this is where I'm going to attach the feeder wires that go from the locomotive chassis to the decoder. I did try initially doing it on the side of the chassis, but this side worked way better. So this is how we're going to do this right here. And of course, we're going to put a little Kapton tape just to make sure we don't have any errant shorts. Now it's time to solder our wires to the motors. Now there's a little screw for the connector on top. This is what I ended up soldering the wires to. I didn't do the pads because it was actually quite difficult to fit the pads in where the motor encasing is. And so this worked way better. There was plenty of space. So if you're ever doing this with this particular locomotive, you can solder directly on the screws. I did try the pads at first, but it led to some uneven connection. Plus the motor didn't fit right in the housing. I did double check the motor before I installed it, and it ran just fine. Now it's time to install, and we're going to go ahead and wrap the connection points with Kapton tape. You definitely don't want these touching the chassis because it will short out. So we just wrapped it, and then I trimmed it up so that it would fit as best as possible, and then we just installed it. Now to wedge it in perfectly, I'm just using a micro brush with its little tip removed. That's what that purple thing is, and we just got it fit in nice and snug. Next up, we're going to be working on the wires going from the locomotive to the tender, and I needed to cut a little slot in the back so that I could thread the wires up into where they're going to go. And then it's time to install the headlight, and this thing actually didn't have a headlight at all, so this is a new thing. So I'm putting some dots of super glue, which actually didn't work that well. I was kind of surprised, but I'm using one of these tiny LEDs. It does have a hole for a headlight, but no headlight. What I ended up doing was actually taping the whole thing down with Kapton tape, and it was good to go. Now these LEDs had resistors pre-installed. You will need to put resistors on your LEDs if you don't have that. I will link these in the description below. Now we can go ahead and put on the shell and thread all our wires through, and the rest of our work takes place solely in the tender. So the thing that I did before I really got to work is I looked at my diagram and saw all the wires that I wouldn't need, and I trimmed all of those short because we are still going to be a little tight on space. Now, one cool thing that Soundtrax includes is a capacitor for current keeping, which I'm definitely going to install in this, being an older locomotive. And this you wire up green and yellow and blue wires to it. Now the blue is a common wire, so you are going to have to wire up multiple things to it. So I'm also going to be wiring up the headlight to it. So I'm going to need to go ahead and prep that as well. Once the common wires were wired up, I could connect the other wire from the headlight to the white wire, and that would be all the wiring for the headlight. And then the only thing we're going to have left to do is the speaker. Now I am testing this thing throughout the build, just making sure that everything is running properly, and with every step, it slowly becomes a better runner. Now we can wire up the speaker. I tin the solder pads and then attach the two purple wires to the solder pads. This can be tricky with this sugar cube speaker because it's magnetic and can sometimes snap onto the soldering iron. But this is just a standard sugar cube speaker, 11 by 15 millimeters. But let's test it out. Now it's just time to cram everything in. Now this sugar cube speaker came with a little baffle with an adhesive section onto it, so I pull the adhesive cover off of it and I stick it to the top of the inside of the shell of the tender, and this is where I plan to stick it the whole time, so that works out perfectly. And then it's just a game of stuff all the wires and everything into the tender, which took a little bit of work, but it wasn't too bad. But once I got everything in there and good to go, it actually looked pretty nice and I was pretty happy with it. And here's its first test run.
So let's talk about Bluenami for a second. This is the Bluenami app I've got right up here, and it's really, really cool. The cool thing it does is it eliminates the need for a DCC base station, so long as you have these Bluenami decoders in there. All you need is power to the track. So for instance, in my test track shots you saw, all I had was a Kato power pack hooked up to it, and then just turned all the way to maximum, and then it's just powering the decoder, and you talk directly to the decoder. So what we're going to do here, first of all, is I'm going to turn on the track power really quick. And you can probably maybe even already hear it starting up, and we'll just click connect. And we are now connected, as you can see on the screen. So all I have to do is go here. It's going to collect all the data of all the different CVs. So it's still using CVs. So if you've done a lot of research and know your CVs really well, this is still going to work pretty well. So we're going to go ahead and try a few things. We're going to turn on the headlight. We're going to hit the bell. And we're going to hit the horn. And I'm actually going to back it up to me right here. And there it is right there. Switch it to forward. And you can see I'm toggling between the horns. Now, I had actually set that up, but there's a lot of cool things that you can do in the app. So what I have here is I can go, obviously I have all my functions, and it just kind of tells me what everything is. You know, I got my bell, whistle. So what I have here now is I can go into here and I can click into the gear icon, and I've got all of these settings. I've got my general settings. I can do this. I can actually, I haven't programmed this address yet, so I can just do this, and I can do 607, which is the number of the engine, and there it is. It's set. So we got a Steam 2 decoder. You can see all of this kind of stuff. We have all of these different options, and then you can go into sound. You got your volume settings, your main sounds, which is like your chuff. I've actually found that I like the geared set the best. And it does have the 611 horn, but I don't like the way it sounds as much, so I picked one that sounded pretty close, which is another Hancock 3 chime. But I do have, as my alternate horn, I do have my Norfolk and Western number 611 3 chime. And then of course you got all your other sounds. You can control all sorts of different things, and then you can just straight up go into CV settings and just start messing with CVs. You got light settings. So I can actually go here And I can do all my different settings here. Got gyro light, I got Mars light, Stratolight. You can also add things like if you have a firebox in there, you can do firebox flicker. So just a lot, you have all the customization right here, no need to go into all of that different stuff. But let's go ahead and get this thing running. So that was a really fun project. I was really happy I was able to convert that, and I'm really excited about not only having this powered up like this, but having it be Bluetooth, which is just something really cool. I can't wait to see if Soundtrax comes out with any more of these, and it should be really, really awesome. I'm really excited about it. So thank you all so much for watching. All products linked in the description. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, and happy railroading.